Hello everybody, I'm Boudica Fox. Today I'm going to be giving my thoughts on Resident Evil 5 and 6 as well as their potential remakes. I do want to kind of give a little background on myself as a Resident Evil player. I have only played the mainline games, and 5 and 6 are the only original mainline games I have played. I also started with 7. So just giving you an idea of where I'm coming from. So let's start with 5. I really enjoyed 5. I thought it was a lot of fun. It definitely is more action. I would say it leans more action than even 4. It definitely doesn't have as much horror. Although there are moments, it also hits some similar beats that 4 does. It opens with a village sort of attack. So I played Resident Evil 5 solo, which presented a different strategy than playing co-op. I'm sure it was probably a little bit more fun playing co-op, considering how much the AI could lack. But I did have to strategize of what Sheva, Chris's companion, would carry and be responsible for. So two questions being asked about this game are: 1, can it be remade? And 2, should it be remade? My opinion is yes on both questions. With a remake, they can work on increasing the horror. Some people think simply setting it at night instead of having it during the daytime would do it, and sure it would, but I don't think that they necessarily need to do that. I think they should really focus on the body horror aspect of these games a little bit more, and they can also achieve more horror with the sound design. I look towards the Dead Space remake as an example. Of course, that had a lot of darkness to add to the horror, but I also think that is super action-packed and still was able to be scary. With the remake, they also have a chance to improve the AI of Sheva, which I think is deserved. I quite liked Sheva, however, at certain points, I did start to see how bad her AI could be, which is unfortunate, because like I just said, I did enjoy her as a character. You can also improve on some of the stuff it gets criticized for. It might be the one Resident Evil game that people wouldn't mind if certain content was cut. Now, I do think it's still very playable today, but of course, remakes will, upgrade the graphics and make the gameplay a little bit more like the new remakes. But with all that being said, I do believe before we get a Resident Evil 5 remake, we should definitely get a Code Veronica remake first. Other people have also mentioned a Resident Evil 1 remake before 5 ever gets remade, which I can understand as well. Okay, so what about Resident Evil 6? Well, to be honest, before I started playing, it was already daunting to me, just based off of the negativity surrounding it, plus the length. However, I also found myself enjoying this game once I got a hang of it. Now, 6 is definitely the furthest from the original Resident Evil games, the OG trilogy. With 5, even though there was a lot of action, there was also certain things. Like I said, while it followed beats of 4, but there was still exploring and some puzzles as well, where 6 doesn't really have this at all, to be honest. Now, personally, I think it makes sense. The characters would be better equipped by this point in the timeline. I think that extra action in comparison to the original trilogy makes a lot of sense. I really do, even though that's not popular, I do think that, but should it be remade? Again, I'm gonna say yes. Resident Evil 6 definitely should be remade, may even deserve it more than 5. If anything, just for the redemption. I think they had something there, but it was just too far from Resident Evil. Like many people say, it's a decent game, but it's not a good Resident Evil game. For Resident Evil, it's not good. I don't have as many ideas that I do for a 5 remake, which I didn't even list all my ideas. Please comment what you think below. I'll definitely further elaborate in a comment below. But I do think that there are some questions that they will have to figure out. First things first, should they keep it 4 separate campaign, or should they try to make it one campaign where you jump between the pairs? Do you cut any of the campaigns just completely? An obvious upgrade they can do, again with making it more like other Resident Evil games, with adding exploration and puzzles, is also just the gameplay of it. It's different, they have the pills instead of the herbs. I don't think they necessarily need a merchant character in 6, but I didn't really care for the skill point mechanic personally. They can change that completely or just a little bit. I just didn't care for it personally. One thing though that I do think would be interesting and maybe better for the story, if they keep Sherry and Jake's campaign. I think Sherry should be the main character. I understand making Jake more of the main character in the campaign because he was a new character, and considering who he is too, it's good to get the players a little bit more on his side. I think if Sherry had been the main character, there would have been just a little bit more sense of urgency. Jake is a very important character in Resident Evil 6. So I think making him a main character kind of gave him a little bit too much plot armor. I also think Sherry is very interesting. I think it would be cool to see what they can do with her abilities in a remake. So hopefully this video made sense. I'm sure hoping it did. Like I said, if I think of more examples, more things I want to say, I'll put them in a comment below for YouTube. If you're stumbling on this on Twitch, sorry. Either way, if we get these remakes, if we don't, I'm definitely all in on this series. Huge fan. So whatever they decide to do, I will be right there to play whatever games they put out. And I want to reiterate before I end this video that Code Veronica should definitely be getting a remake before either of these games. A remake for 6 should be very far out on priority. Definitely should not be top priority, but I do think that it deserves it. That's it for the video. I know it's very brief. Let me know what you think below. Well, thank you for watching this video. Like and subscribe. I'll have some links below to my Resident Evil 5 playthrough as well as my Resident Evil 6 playthrough, a DLC playlist that right now is all Resident Evil DLCs. I'll also link my Twitch below. You can find me there and give me a follow. Once again, thank you for watching. Okay, bye.